Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our premiere of DMUTalks. Now, we're very proud to present our very own live stream series, whereby what we'll be doing is taking the applicant journey and we're going to go through it stage by stage over the next 5 weeks or so. So just to give you a bit of background, bit of insight, we've had Amazon, we've had Netflix fighting over this series for us to host on their platform. But instead, we've decided to go live on DMU's website. So do not panic if you miss a show, if you miss an episode. They're always rewatchable on our website. We will be posting a link in the comments shortly for you guys to go have a look at that. Just to give you a bit of background around what the series is about, we're going to start from the very beginning. So at the moment, usually around this sort of time of year, myself and my lovely colleagues would be going into various schools and colleges, and we'll be giving support to students to try and help them on their transition into university. So we'll be doing talks such as why you'd possibly want to choose to go to university. So that will be the topic of the show tonight. And then we would also be looking at UCAS, the process, and all the terminology that comes along with UCAS itself. So next week's session will be what is UCAS. So again, we'll have a number of our team colleagues on board with us. We'll have some star guests with us that will be able to give their insight, give their views, give their opinions on their journey through UCAS and how to deal with it. Once we've covered the UCAS, we'll go through researching. So we'll have a look at the research process. So we'll have some ex-graduates with us. We've all been to university in our team. We have a wealth of experience. I think collectively, there's probably at least, we're pushing over 30 years or so. If I can just get a few nods from the side, I think that is true. As a group, we've got over 30 years of experience in this.
Just me alone, Dan.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I was looking at you down in the bottom of the screen, Jamie, but I wasn't gonna say it. But yeah, we do have a wealth of experience, and what we want to do is share some of that experience with you guys to help make that research decision a bit easier for you, because it can be quite daunting seeing the many different institutions that are out there, the many different courses that are out there, and sometimes it's hard to decide when you have to bring them down to 5. Week 4, we get to have a look at the personal statement. So that can usually be the bugbear of absolutely everyone who is doing UCAS. And what we try and do in that session is really break it down. We get the opinions of people that have marked personal statements. We get the opinions of people who have worked and looked at personal statements for a long time, as well as students themselves who have recently submitted personal statements for their UCAS application. And then the last week, week 5, we'll be looking at the student life and all the exciting things that you guys can look forward to when you transition into university. Now, for whatever reason, if you miss an episode or if you cannot make an episode, all of our episodes will be live as soon as they have been aired on our website. So you can always head over to our website. You can rewatch them. We've been super kind this time round. We haven't put any prices on there, so you can watch them for free, even though I needed my arm twisting a little bit to get that for free. But it's a great material for you guys in order to support you along this journey. So the ideal is, hopefully when we're finished in about 5 weeks time, you'll be able to make a good start on your application, and it will make up from all the lost time that we would have had with you guys in the schools and colleges. Now, it wouldn't be a talk show, it wouldn't be a series if I didn't have any guests. So I feel like one of the main reasons, or one of the main parts you need for a successful talk show, is having someone who can talk. Okay. I've got one guest that could fill the 45 minutes on his own. He would do my job. He'll do the rest of our colleagues' job. He can do all on its own. So my first guest is Jamie.
I can't believe you came to me with that. I thought that was going to be somebody else. Outrageous. Yeah. Hello, Dale. Good to be here. I'm really reassured that it's a live stream. I can tell we're on a live stream because one of my neighbours is the startable lawnmower. Every time we ever live stream, one of my neighbours jet washes, cuts the lawn, trims the hedges. I swear they're watching it. They turn all the power tools on as soon as we start. So yeah, we're good to go, and it's good to be here. We hope we can give folks some useful advice in this episode 1 of a series that we're going to streaming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. As well as having someone who can talk, it will always be handy, I think, to have someone who is very knowledgeable, someone that you can throw questions to, someone to share their expertise and their insight on their journey. So next up, we've got the wonderful Faye. Oh, try and bring you in. There we are.
Hiya, everyone. Yeah, I think I've been knocking around in the team. I've been around at DMU for a number of years now, so advising students and hopefully providing some really useful advice. So yeah, really looking forward to speaking to people and answering questions if anyone has any.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Faye. And it's a good thing that Faye pointed out there. This is a live stream, guys, and we want you guys to interact with us as much as possible. So you can, if you are watching on YouTube, if you click on the link, it will take you through to YouTube. You'll be able to post a comment and we will be able to answer some of the questions that you guys have got. So you could be in year 11, you could be in year 12, you could be year 13. You could also be a parent of a student who's attending university. So if you do have any questions, please do get involved. Please do let us know, and we'll try our best to get through them all. The person that's actually going to be moderating our comments is our technical whiz, and we wouldn't be able to do any of these live streams without him because he's our absolute go-to person, and he's also very, very handy when it comes to the whole process, and he's also very, very handy in giving some great advice as well. We've also got Ben with us.
Hello, sorry, you said about technical things there, but my my internet's being a bit patchy at the minute. Just because, again, like Jamie, it just knows when we go live. It just knows. So yeah, that's all the glory of working from home, the glory of these live streams. I mean, I feel like we've been sat in these studios for hours now, not just today, but just over the last few months. So I feel like we've really honed in on our live stream skills. We know an awful lot about the process, so we tie it all together into our own TV series.
Thank you so much for that, Ben. The reason why I signposted Ben as our technical whiz is if anything does go wrong in this next 45 minutes to an hour, so you know exactly who the blame's going to. It's Ben over there. Every week, we're going to try and have a star guest appear on our talk show. And this week's star guest, we have the one and only Ali. Good evening, Ali.
Hi, guys. Good evening, guys. Yeah, so I am actually a former graduate, as Dal said. So yeah, looking forward to answering any of your questions that you might have.
Thank you so much for that, Ali. So, right, guys, before we get started, how are we all feeling? Feeling energetic? Feeling up for it?
Yeah, I think so. Let's smash it.
I'm really feeding off your energy here, guys. Very, very, very enthusiastic.
No, I'm feeling good. It's going to be a good one. And we're going to freestyle it slightly tonight, aren't we? We normally have quite a structured approach with one person speaking followed by the other, and it's all pre-planned. Tonight, we are going to completely freestyle. So it's either going to be genius or the worst idea I've had since we started. We'll soon find out which one it is.
Well, we'll know who to blame. It's the person sitting below me on this side.
I'll take it.
If it doesn't quite go to plan. So the first topic that I really want to pick up on, so this first live stream, this first episode is all about why you would choose higher education. And naturally, when you think about going to university, one of the first things that comes into your mind is the academic side of it. So it's all about, in some people's eyes, all about getting this degree. So who wants to start us off with talking to us a little bit around the academic side in terms of why you'd potentially want to choose HE or why yourselves chose to go to university based on that academic side?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can start an academic if you like, Del. I mean, it is the big thing. People think about the social life and the experience, which is massive, but it's the actual course and the academic side that you're really paying your fees for. And as you folk watching will know, fees are relatively high for university, so you've got to make sure you do your research properly. When you're in your school career, you know, from the age of 5 right to the age of 18, 13 years at school, you're taking every single subject. And for most of that school career, you've got no choice at all. You've got to take your maths, your English, you've got double science on a Friday afternoon that you're dreading, or you maybe, in my case, double arts, because I was horrendous at anything creative, and I still am. So, you know, as you'll all know. So it genuinely, when you get to A-levels or to BTECs, you're narrowing it down a bit. But university, you're picking one course. And hopefully that's the one course that you kind of honed your skills in. It's something you enjoy. It's something you're naturally good at. It's something that's hopefully going to take you in the right career direction. And university, for 3 years, or maybe longer on certain degrees, focuses in depth on that academic singular subject and gives you that massive level of expertise and knowledge, and allows you to explore something academically to a depth far beyond what you will have done before in A-levels and GCSE and all the years previous to that. And if you've chosen your course correct, it can be really, really enjoyable. And the blend of teaching styles. So you've got your lectures, which is when you've got someone sort of giving you information en masse to a larger audience. Your seminars and tutorials are smaller classroom based, more conversational, more interactive. You've then got one-to-one time with your tutor to chat through stuff in more detail, group work, working with other students to explore, to come together with other people and discuss something in more detail. Academically, picking the right course is critical to having the right experience, and also critical to getting the best value for money as well. You know, if you pick the wrong course, 3 years can be a long time, and it can take you in the whole wrong direction. So spending the time to think about the course, what you want to do, why you want to do it, is to me probably one of the most important decisions you've got to make.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
I think to pick up on that, it's what's quite nice and what a lot of people find, and I remember this from my time when I went from the transition from post-16 into university, is year 12 and year 13 are hard. They're just, you know, you're studying 3 subjects, you've got to battle your way through coursework, exams. So a lot of people just assume that university is a step up from that. But I actually found, and a lot of people have agreed with me, that they said that first year in particular of university is actually easier than A-levels, because what a lot of universities do, DMU does it, is they try and get everybody at the same level. So as Jamie said, you're going into studying one subject, you're doing that one thing that you're interested in, and it allows you to sort of focus that area. So already you're studying something, that one thing you know you're interested in, but also they're covering a lot of topics that you may already know, so you'll be able to ace it. But also, again, the other students that have come from different backgrounds, they just want everybody to be on the same page in your first year, so that when you kind of get to your second and third year, you're then starting to progress, you're then starting to develop that stuff that you already know. And it almost makes a slightly more natural progression than post-16, which is why a lot of people do find that transition noticeably sometimes easier, but it finds in that getting into that kind of environment becomes a lot easier as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So like for me personally, I remember picking on something that you both just said. What I was really surprised about, so I've got a real good passion for sport. I love everything related to sport. And when I was thinking about going to university, I knew that, you know what, I want to focus somewhere on sport. So for me, I love the Premier League. I'm absolutely buzzing that it's back on the screen. And what I did my undergraduate and my master's dissertation in was Premier League spending. So before going to university, if somebody would have told me, right, Dal, you get the opportunity to study something that you really love outside of the classroom, I would have bitten your hand off. It wasn't until I got into my second and my third year that I'd realized that this could actually be a core component of sociology. That was the subject or the theme that I was studying at the time. And I could actually shape my learning around there. I feel like when you're in year 12, when you're in year 13, or if you're doing BTEC, sometimes you can be a bit restricted in terms of where you can explore or what you want to explore. And going to university really gives you that advantage of really opening up the different avenues for you and giving you the different aspects and areas to really pursue and create your own identity and align it both in education and also outside education. Because the one thing that I really enjoyed from being there was that I was around these like-minded individuals. So I was around people that shared the same passion as me, and it enabled me to grow as a person. I know it might sound really silly. I don't know if any of you guys in the stream have experienced something similar, but for me as a person, it allowed me to grow being in that sort of environment.
I think I was unrecognisable to my own parents. You know, you labelled me as someone who talks. In sixth form, I think I was labelled by teachers as someone who doesn't talk. So university genuinely gives you a chance to discover your true self and really gain that confidence in yourself and realise that you can stand on your own 2 feet just as much as everybody else can. Can I ask, Del, do you get any pressure from your parents to do a more traditional subject rather than what you actually did? Because a lot of folk have that battle where maybe parents are pushing them towards a very core curriculum, very clearly employable subject rather than where the student's actual real passion is.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a real dilemma. So for me, as you could imagine, coming from an ethnic household, shall we say. When I rocked up telling my mum, you know what, I want to study sports sociology, I think the natural reaction was, how are you going to build a career out of that? What are you going to do with that? You should be doing this. You should go do economics, go do account, go do law. You know, the typical, very, very typical subjects that you should be doing. And my advice to you guys would be, and it was the same stance that I had on when I was choosing my course, and what I wanted to do was make sure it's something that you guys enjoy, because otherwise it's a massive investment you're taking on, not only in terms of finance, but also time. It's going to be 3, potentially 4 years of your life. And if you don't enjoy it, you're naturally not going to do as well as what you could do if it's a subject that you thoroughly enjoy. Faye, what did you get up to in regards to your academia while you chose to go there?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to kind of play on the whole, lots of different courses are out there. I chose a course that, a subject that I hadn't studied before. So you can look outside your A level or your BTEC options as well. And as Ben said, your first year is getting everyone to the same kind of level, same point. So you've got a lot of support from staff there. Your tutor as well. So don't be afraid to explore different options outside of your subject areas. And I think probably one of the main reasons I went to university was because I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do, but I knew that it would help me to pick up lots of different skills, kind of put myself out of my comfort zone, move out of home, which is what I did, and try different subjects. And yeah, I think it just kind of, like Jamie said, probably made me a little bit different in that I probably did hold myself a bit better. I was more confident and picked up lots of skills that I think employers probably appreciated by me going to university.
Absolutely. Ali, anything from you?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Yeah, just to reiterate a couple of things as well, that I think it's independence is one thing, because I think most students will be going away from home. For example, if you're going to decide to go to university outside of your city where you've grown up, it's quite important to build on that independence. But I think it's again, just to touch upon what everyone else said about confidence as well. I don't think I was a very confident person when I was in school. I did kind of struggle with that a lot. I don't think I really believed myself a lot. But I think university helped and taught me to kind of work on that a lot, to the point where now I feel that has been a real benefit for me.
Absolutely. There's something very interesting, Faye, that you mentioned that I really want to pick up on, was you mentioned something around transferable skills. Now, I know we've all got very, very, very different backgrounds. Our academic backgrounds are all very different, but yet we all find ourselves in a similar sort of role. So I'll start us off. I've already mentioned what I was doing my degrees in. So my degree is all around sports sociology, has absolutely nought to do with marketing or being in a student-facing role. Ben, what about yourself?
I
I
did.
can guess what yours is from your intro, mate.
I did a computer science degree. I worked in computer science before, during, and a little bit after uni. But I think I did it so much I got sick of it, and I really wanted to do something else. And this sort of job came up, and I applied for it. And a lot of that came from, again, transferable skills that I developed at university.
Yeah, Jamie?
I actually did business and marketing, so I'm kind of nearly overlapping with what my actual degree was. But I had a work placement when I worked in a college for a year. Work placements are seriously worth doing if you get the chance. I had the choice of 2 placements, one in my local college, one in Vitty's, the factory that makes biscuits. So I could have been sat here right now live streaming about the virtues of chocolate hobnobs, but I'm actually live streaming about the benefits of our education. So if you get a placement opportunity, do grasp it, but do seriously consider the actual placement choice you make, because the exact sector you work in for that placement could end up naturally progressing through to a career. I didn't necessarily plan it that way. A lot of jobs, a lot of graduates actually, you spend your whole time planning, don't you, when you're like in your teens, and all of the process, all our tips now, plan. A lot of graduate careers kind of happen in sometimes circumstantial opportunities, right place, right time. But yeah, business and marketing degree, work placement in a college, move through from there.
Fantastic. Faye?
I did modern languages at university. So I guess I was always interested in education as well. So I worked in an English language school after I graduated. And I just always just kind of decided to follow that education path and ended up here at DMU working with young people and mature students as well about their higher education choices. So again, not marketing kind of led, but picked up lots of great skills along the way. So a really helpful degree to do.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Ali?
Yes, actually, I didn't realize that Jamie did the same course as me. So yeah, I did business and marketing as well, and I did also look at work experience and stuff while I was a student. So again, just to double on what Jamie said, it's really important that you do look at that, because building a CV from while you're still at university does make you stand out more when you finish your course, and it is quite a competitive market out there, so you want to make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible start before you've actually even left university.
I think
Without
one of
my
the
placement, I definitely wouldn't have got my graduate job, because my graduate job was working in a university, and it allowed me to travel all over the world in the first 3 years of my graduate career. But I'm certain that without the experience and the placement, I one, wouldn't have looked at it and applied for it, and two, definitely wouldn't have got it. So those little pockets of experience are crucial.
I think I probably chose my course because I knew I could do a year abroad as part of it. But nowadays, with courses, particularly at DMU, a lot of the courses you can do a placement with it, or you can travel globally. Obviously, depending on the situation at the moment. So there's lots of travel opportunities, that are normally in place for students to get on their CV.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about some of those opportunities later on in the talk show. One thing, whilst we're still on the academic side, the academic note, one thing that I really want to question, sometimes, I don't know about you guys, so the question that I usually get asked when I go to these schools and colleges, phase disappeared, you no longer can be bothered. One question that I always get asked is whether I am academic enough. Am I capable of doing a university degree? Sometimes, some students think that, it's not for me. I'm not good enough. What advice or what sort of guidance would you be giving current year 12s or year 13s in regards to who might be thinking along those lines? You're all on mute, guys.
Do you want me to go? Am I going? I love I was the only one that wasn't on mute.
Sometimes I can't unmute. I was definitely trying to unmute. Come on, go for it, Ali.
Yeah. So I think it's not to overthink things. I think is one thing, but also to have belief in yourself, because I think if you put your mind to anything, you can do it. I don't think there's anything that someone can't do. And I think one of those kind of ways of thinking about it for me personally was, I'm just going to borrow something from Dal, really, in terms of training, for example. So sometimes when we're in the gym and you think, oh, actually, you know what, this is going to be quite a big kind of challenge for me to do. But if you kind of put your mind to it and you really put the effort in, and then you start to see you reap the benefits of that. So I think it's really important that you have belief in yourself first and foremost, and then the rest of it just takes care of itself, really.
Absolutely. Jamie?
No, I can just endorse entirely what Alice said there. You do not need to be, A star to go to university. There's a huge range of unis, a huge range of courses, a huge range of different skills needed for those courses. You need to be interested and committed in what you're doing. You need to put the time and effort in. Ideally, you need to have a passion for it, but you do not need to be Albert Einstein. My sixth form experience was a period of social development, I would say. I discovered that there was more to life than just studying. My GCSEs, I was an angelic, absolutely committed, relatively Scottish student. My A-levels, I was distracted by other activities and did not get necessarily amazing grades, but it still left me with plenty of uni options. And I also didn't feel that I was struggling when I got to uni either. So definitely it is something you can do from a wide variety of academic backgrounds, as long as you've got that commitment to what you're doing and you want to be there.
Absolutely. Ben, Faye, anything else from you before we move on to the next section?
I think touching on what Jamie said, there is a range of courses, there is a range of different universities you can go to, and I think that starts to adapt into what students can sort of, their sort of preferences in terms of the study styles, in terms of how they want to be assessed. If you're like me and not very good at exams, for instance, you find a course that's more heavily focused in coursework, or you find something that's a bit more practical. We've got so many different art and design subjects where a lot of the coursework, a lot of the work that you'll actually be doing will just be physically actually in, workshops and science courses that we'll have you in the labs a lot of the time. So, things like that, you can sort of start to adapt your course around things like that as well. And I think that's something we've emphasized here, is that, that research you put in and that sort of stuff that you look into in terms of, what boxes do you need to tick in terms of your university experience? And it can come down to things like, I'm not very good at exams, so I'm not going to pick this media course that has lots of exams. I'm going to pick this media course that's just all coursework based and all practical based. Not every course is going to be without exams. There are course areas that require exams, but it's something just worth looking into, because it might be something that you can negotiate around, perhaps.
Absolutely. The final thing from me on that this whole section would be, let the university make that decision. So if you want to apply to a university, if you feel like you're borderline, you might feel like you're not quite capable, let us make that decision for you. So still put your application in, still have a fantastic personal statement, have a great UCAS application, and let us make that decision, because you'll be quite surprised with the actual outcome. So I feel like we've covered the academic side quite substantially. So the next part of university, well, you might want to choose university, I want to go on to employability, because I feel like sometimes when students, especially in their second year or if they're in year 13, that it seems like they're faced with this trade-off. So it's either you're going to work or you're going to university. There don't seem to be an in-between. When I look back on my university journey, I saw university as a bridge to bring those two together. So I got fantastic opportunities in regards to excel on my employability and also work out where my employability lies. So what do you guys think or believe around the fact that university focuses more on academia than employability? Is that true? Is there anything that you guys want to comment on that?
I think to start off with, and it's something we're going to talk about in a second, so I won't linger too long, but no, absolutely not. A lot of people's university experience is made not just sit in the lecture halls, but the other stuff you get involved in. So again, some of the stuff that we're going to come on to, some of the trips that you can go on, the societies that you can join. And again, just to use my example, I did a computer science degree. I'm pretty sure my boss, Jamie, sat right next to me, was not looking for somebody that was an expert in computer science, but he was looking for somebody, the man behind you, Jamie. But I think he was looking for somebody that had a little bit of sort of marketing experience, but experience working with students, and that sort of ability to kind of speak to people. And that was something that I developed through my society. So I worked as an editor for a magazine as part of my society at university. I used to train students into how to use the software, how to write an article, how to actually publish a magazine. That was something that I did. That was completely separate from anything I did to do with my course. So things like that you get involved in, and those experiences that you develop, those, again, transferable skills that you're working on, they can come from other places, not just those times that you're sitting in a lecture hall or working on that piece of coursework. They can come from those other areas. I know we've got a colleague in our team, Henrik, who was also part of the rugby team. And I know that he actually ran the rugby team. He organised a lot of their events. And that, again, that experience that he developed, just being part of that team, again, helped him get additional skills around that.
It's about getting involved in everything. Just like now, if you're in sixth form or you're in college and you're wanting to bolster your personal statement to get into uni, the more stuff you do, the more activities you take place in, the more you volunteer your time to pick up experiences, the more you've got to write about in your personal statement and the more skills you can demonstrate. And it's the same principle when you graduate from university. Even if you've got a first class degree, if all you've done for the whole of those 3 years is work, single focus on getting that first class degree, and you've done nothing else, you might not come across necessarily as being that well-rounded to the graduate employer. Not that I'm ever diminishing anybody getting a first, it takes a lot of hard work, but if you can get extra things on your CV, woohoo, experiences, mute down before he starts, extra experiences, extra skills, all of that additional work gives you balance to your CV, gives you skills, communication skills, confidence, and works together to make you more employable. And universities like DMU, we're not just about the academic, we're about developing you as an individual and turning you from the applicant through the student experience into you, the graduate, who can go out there in the workplace. And a lot of our time supporting you and working with you during your degree is designed to create that future version of yourself, not just to give you the academic knowledge, but to give you the skills and confidence to flourish in the long term as well.
We have also got a dedicated placements team on campus, so that might be something you want to have a look at. So you might think, well, how do I go about these kind of things? How do I find placements, whether that's in the summer holiday or if it's a week placement, for example, or a whole year, if it's abroad, if it's locally. We do have dedicated teams there to help you to bolster your employability skills, and also a careers team there to help you once you actually finish your course as well, or just to prepare you, things like interview skills, how to write a CV. We have all that on campus to help our students to actually put themselves in the best position as they can when they're looking for a job. So yeah, something to bear in mind as well.
I mean, universities are dead supportive places. It's a bit of a kind of urban myth that universities are sort of a sink or swim environment. Either you get there and you thrive, or you get there and you don't thrive and you struggle and it doesn't work out. There are actually more support on campus at university than there is a typical school or college. The main difference is you have to be a little bit proactive in reaching out to that support. But your induction weeks, the first few weeks of term, you'll meet your personal tutor. You'll have a talk from the careers and placement team about how they're going to help you move forward. You'll have support on the academic side of university. There'll be staff there to support with finance and welfare and counselling. Universities are very supportive, very open places designed just to help you maximise the experience that you can get. And genuinely, I look back on my university days, even now, half the reason I do this job is because I loved university so much. The positives just, I feel it's something everybody who can do should at least consider doing it. Even if you're not certain it's for you, I'd still go through the process of doing the research, getting through UCAS, put yourself in a position when you've got control, and then you can decide whether or not it's something you decide to take forward later on in year 13 or the second year of college.
Absolutely. See, I remember my employability experience at university very well. When I started university, guys, I wanted to be a PE teacher at high school. So that was my overall dream. It was the only ambition. Couldn't see, I think I'd be really good, to be fair. So you know what, I thought, I'm going to go to university. I'm going to do a sporty-ish type of degree. Hopefully at the end of it, I'm going to become a PE teacher. And when I did my research, one thing I knew was that I'll get the opportunity to actually go and do that. So one of the modules that I had to complete during my degree was a work experience module, sorry. So I got the opportunity to go back to my old high school where I actually studied myself and start to deliver or start to shadow some of the PE teachers there. And from the moment that I walked in, I absolutely hated it. I was just like, oh my God, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. So you can imagine at that time, panic was just starting to drop into my head because I chose this whole degree based on this one career. I thought that, this is the only career I wanted to do. And there could be some students that are out there now that have an idea of what they want to do, but haven't actually experienced it. My advice to you now is when you're looking at your university degree, have a look at the employability opportunities and please do not shut yourself off. Don't be tunnel visioned and thinking, I only want to do this one career and not try anything else, because you never know, you might do something that you enjoy more than the thing that you thought you wanted to do prior to going to university. So then I remember panicking for a good 6-7 months thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? Help. And like Jamie was saying, the support at university was fantastic. They calmed me down a little bit and they showed me, right, Dal, you can have a look at this. You can have a look at this in terms of these are some of the things that you could do with your degree. Am I the only one that went through that sort of mini experience at university?
Not at university. Well, no, kind of, I suppose, because I got to my second year and I sort of didn't realise that I was sort of getting a bit bored with doing IT stuff because it's kind of the thing that I'd always done. So kind of in the same sort of vein, you're like, oh, I'm really good at this. I'm going to go to university and do this, and then I'm going to become a, whatever. But yeah, I got to second year and I was like, oh, actually, I don't really think I fancy sitting in front of a computer 9 to 5, although that seems to be what I've done since February. So yeah, I know. So I was pleased that, much like yourself, I was able to explore other stuff in slightly different avenues. Again, I got the opportunity to do stuff while I was at university that kind of went, actually, do you know what? I quite like, marketing and media and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's similar, but maybe not I didn't get into the workplace and panic. It was more just a reflection whilst I was in the university and actually studying it.
I think whilst I was in the workplace, I was fairly composed. I don't feel like I was running around screaming, thinking, oh my God, I absolutely hate this. I felt like I had a great poker face. I kept it pretty cool. And then when I got home, that's when I started crying. And I feel like I had my first midlife crisis at the age of 21. I feel like that was my first one. And it's something that I'll always remember.
I feel we need to know the specifics here. I feel we need to know what's wrong with the world of PE teaching. This could be an insight.
If there's any PE teachers watching, yeah, I really, really admire what you guys do. Anyone works in secondary schools, like the patience that you guys have is absolutely fantastic. I'm digging myself a hole here, so I'm going to stop right there.
We get the best bit in our job, don't we? Because we bomb into the school, we hit you with like one assembly or one like tutorial, so we can be quite bouncy and quite energetic, kind of one-hit wonder. You leave, go, that was all right, hopefully. And then that's it. Whereas obviously if you teach, you've got to teach the same group day in, day out. It's a whole different mentality to what we're lucky enough to be able to fly in and fly out again, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Ali, you did your degree at DMU. Did you do any work placements with DMU?
I did. But I think also just to say that I think it's always looking at the course as well. And also making sure, because for me, I wanted to choose a course where you had employability and like transferable skills, where you were learning them as in with the degree. So obviously we had something here at university, which we still do, which is Fox's Lair. And so it's basically the university's version of Dragon's Den. And so it's quite daunting in your first year, where you have to then stand up in front of these business leaders who have been in business for multiple years, and so it's quite daunting to do that, and you have to come up with your own sort of company and sort of own products, and then you have to market them to them and try and get them to buy them from you. So yeah, I think that's something else to kind of think about as well. But yeah, and on the topic of looking at placements as well, yeah, that was something that was key for me, because that way, again, you were able to then use their transferable skills and show that you could apply them and not just get the academic side of things. So, yeah.
You were a student ambassador as well, weren't you, Ali? In terms
I was,
of that as well.
So, yeah.
I want to know, actually, before we move on, what was your product you picked for Fox's Lair?
It was actually an ethical jeans company. So we all had to do the same thing, but basically it was you could kind of put your own spin on it. So basically what me and my team actually did was we actually sourced the materials and the costs and everything. We actually contacted the sort of harvesters and that in India, and we actually got the proper costs of it. So I think that was key to try and like make sure that we wanted to get the most unique and kind of clear plan of actions or anything for the next. So I think it was like a 5-year plan you had to have, something like that. So you had to kind of show how your progression would be over those 5 years. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Did you win?
I didn't. We lost by a little bit. We just lost by a bit. We came second. Yeah.
So you had to ask if you won, didn't you? There we are.
In there, I did this. I did that.
Coming out there.
I'll keep it to a minimum now, guys. Something that Jamie mentioned there was our student ambassador program. Ben, I know you do a bit of work with our student ambassadors. For the viewers, could you just explain what that is, please?
Yeah, of course. So students get the opportunity to work as an ambassador for the university. By that, it means you are representing the university. So it might be somebody like when Ali was a student, one of our ambassadors. You might be working on an open day. You'll be offering tours around the campus. During lockdown, our ambassadors have been absolutely fantastic. They've been working on the phones. They've been supporting us with live streams. So some of the ambassadors you've seen on some of our other live streams have been ambassadors that we've recruited. They do other stuff with regards to coming into schools. They do school talks. They do anything like that. So it's a really good way of getting a little bit of part-time work whilst you're studying. You can sign up for the shifts that you're available for. So if a shift comes up during your lectures, that's okay. You just don't have to sign up for that. But if you've got your t-shirt handy after a lecture, you can pop that on, and it might be just delivering a small tour for a family around the campus. So it's nice, flexible work that you can do just in and around your studies, and it's some good experiences that you get from that as well. You know, as Ali has talked about, you know, you get a little bit of transferable skills in terms, you know, public speaking, communication, and that sort of thing, and you get to develop that as part of your time as an ambassador.
Thank you so much for that. So that's another aspect that you can look into when you're choosing your university. Do have a look at the student ambassador programs when you visit. When we do go back to an essence of normality, open days, you'll see a lot of student ambassadors around the university that are there for you guys to talk to. Faye's been fairly quiet within employability because I feel like she has a very, very, very good reason as to why she didn't comment around it, because she didn't do much in employability during her degree. What did you do, Faye?
Well, I think it's important that we understand that we don't have to get too bogged down with, if you don't know what you want to do when you go to university, to just do something that you enjoy, and you'll pick up lots of great skills, see what you can get involved in, whether that's a placement or something else. You're getting involved in, you know, whether there's a uni temps or something on campus. You know, if you absolutely, you know, I didn't have a blind moment of panic during my studies because I didn't have a set career in mind. I just kept plodding along, just taking it as it was going, you know, learning different things as part of my course. So I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I was just going to say, you know, do what you enjoy and don't get too bogged down if you don't already at this point in time know what you want to do. I didn't do a placement. I studied abroad, which was actually hard work, Dal. And
I'm not buying it one little bit. From when the point you're making, I plodded along and I'm just going from here to here. For me, that just sounds far too relaxed for it to be difficult, though.
Well, you know what? I fully immersed myself in different cultures. You know, the Spanish fiesta and siesta. I spent 6 months studying in Spain, 6 months studying in Germany, and it was difficult fitting into, you know, a different place, different people, you know, not knowing anybody. And I think that's quite good, setting yourself up for future, because, you know, you will probably in the future getting a job where you don't know anybody. You might move to another city again to start a new job where you don't know anybody. So it kind of does show your employer that, you know, you're prepared for that kind of thing. So
I'm going to back you up here.
Studying abroad.
Making yourself employable is not just about getting work experience, and it isn't always a conscious thing. You're not necessarily doing something in your mind thinking, great, I'll do this because it will make me employable. It's just about you making sure that you maximize opportunities. You do take part in activities, you do commit your time and energy to different things, giving yourself a breadth of skills, a breadth of experience, be it tangible work experience, traveling overseas, being parts of club societies. It's just making yourself more than a one-dimensional qualification on a sheet of paper. Gives you skills, gives you experience, broadens your mind, and by definition makes yourself more employable. It doesn't have to be a kind of methodological, I never say that word. It doesn't have to be a sort of step-by-step tick in a box. I have done these 5 things, therefore I'm now employable. It's just about immersing yourself in the experience to the max. That maximizes the experience, and then also by definition will give you that breadth of different skills to move forward with as well.
And we're living proof of that if you look at it. So we've all had very different degrees, but somehow we've all ended up in the same place. So it's really just showing the fact that your university degree can literally take you anywhere. So even though I did study in a niche field, here I am doing something completely different.
And our job isn't unique in that. I think there's loads and loads of sectors, particularly in kind of education, retail, marketing, media, those types of jobs, when people come from all sorts of different backgrounds and then do the same job. There's obviously jobs when you are training specifically to do something, you know, if you want to train to be a doctor, a midwife, a social worker, those types of things, you tend to do a more specific course and train for that qualification. But lots of jobs don't require that specific set list of qualifications. Excuse me, I'm going to turn the light on. I'm looking slightly dubious here with the, you know, so bear with me a second. When I return, it will be a whole different world here.
Okay, so whilst Jamie's figuring out his lighting issues, what we're going to do, we're going to move over to our final section. So, wow. So our final section that we want to cover when we look at YHE is the social side. So as a whole, just to go over, if you're just joining us now, what we've covered so far. So we've gone over the academic side. We've just finished talking about the employability side. And now we're going to have a look at the social side. So who wants to start us off with all things social that students can look forward to when they start their university degree?
I can kick off really quick because it ties in a little bit to what I talked about earlier. So societies and sports teams are a fantastic place to start for any new students coming to university, whether you are moving onto campus or you're staying at home, because I know we've just had a question about that in the comments. You can get involved in sports teams and societies. So when you join in your first week, or even if you're coming into second and third year, you can still go around something called a freshers fair. Not quite sure how that's going to look this year, for obvious reasons, but normally you'd go around, you'd speak to all the societies, you'd speak to all the sports teams, you can sign up for as many as you like, and then when you've decided which ones you want to commit to, obviously then you can spend your time on. So for me, I really wish I joined a society in my first year. It wasn't something I did until my second year. And for me, whenever I look back on university, my time joining the media society was the thing that was a huge highlight for me. And again, tying it back into those employable skills, those are things that I learned during the society that actually got me into doing this job. So I had my own radio show once every week. I thought I was the next Greg James, but I also edited for a magazine. So I was the lead editor for a magazine as well, which meant I could sort of do all that sort of thing. And it was brilliant. And I made so many really good friends, some that I'm still friends with today. So sports teams and societies are a fantastic thing that you can get involved in. And I highly recommend when you're looking at different universities, just have a look to see what they've got on offer.
See, I feel like I missed out there. So looking back now in hindsight, whenever we talk about societies and sports club, I didn't do that. I played sport whilst I was at university, but I really didn't get involved with a society, and I genuinely feel like I missed out. Jamie, did you join a society?
I did. I joined tennis when I first started because that's a sport I played since I was a kid. And then I joined 10-pin bowling once it got a bit nippy and I wasn't fancying being out on the tennis courts because my university had no indoor courts. So in November, we were playing like on a frozen court, wearing gloves. I thought, what am I doing here? So 10-pin bowling was inside, bit social. So that was my sport. I've even got my own 10-pin bowling ball molded to my hands. When I go bowling, I go with family and friends, and they're all like trying to run down the aisles to get the one that fits. You pull out this ball.
All the gear, no idea.
Oh, absolutely. You get looked at like you're absolute weirdo. It's really strange. You go to play tennis with your own rackets, it's just assumed it's no problem, is it? But somewhere you take your own bowling ball, you're looked at like a real strange character. But when things sort out in the future, we'll do a team 10-pin bowling and I shall bring out the old relic of the bowling ball. But it was a great experience. And then I went travelling in the summer as well. So I used to spend the cash I'd earned in the first part of the summer having a bit of a European trip for the last part of the summer. But luckily at DMU, you don't need to save your own hard-earned cash to have your trips over the summer because as part of our degrees, all of our students get these embedded overseas trips. So DMU Global is a scheme where the university puts bursaries towards your experience. You can do either a course-led trip, which is relevant to your particular course, or more just a big exciting trip going somewhere you've always fancied going. And we've had students literally going all over the country, all over the world, more than 50 different countries have had DMU Global trips going to them, and 19,000 students have been on trips since the scheme was first initiated. And now you've got a little bit of a video up your sleeve, Del, that we can push out at this point to give people more of an idea than me just ranting on about it, haven't we?
We have indeed. This is why I wanted Ben in the live stream. So Ben, here's your moment to show off your technical whiz.
Come on.
Oh, Ben, I think you've earned your paycheck there with that.
I just want to say at this point, if anyone from DMU Global is watching, none of us guys yet have had a chance to go as a staff supervisor in a DMU Global trip. Here we are, giving you this pitch, energy, promotion. We shout about DMU Global every live stream. If you're watching this, hook us up, give us a shout. We will be on that next trip. We are willing to commit our time towards the journey. Definitely. So give us a bell.
Ali, you went on a DMU Global trip, is that correct?
Yeah, a couple. So New York, and also to Hong Kong as well. So very, very rewarding trips, I think, and it's one of those things that it's once in a lifetime opportunities for the price, I think, as well. So you're not having to pay full amount for it. It is heavily subsidized by the university, and and it just means that you can also again experience a different part of the world. But I think what is really important as well is that hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to start those again very soon as well. And I think some of the students can have enjoyment as much as we have.
So you said you went to two. What did you actually do on those trips? So was it a big jolly up?
No, absolutely not. So they are academic trips, and there is a portion of volunteering involved in there as well. So from the academic side, it's more tailored to your degree. So whatever course you'd be doing. So I know that, for example, our nursing students go to India, and then we also have our sort of psychology students that get to go to. I think they go to Chernobyl and they go to Ground Zero. So there's that sort of, and then obviously you have the volunteering side where you can kind of get to see what sort of volunteering projects are available and partake in those a little bit as well during that time. So yeah.
Excellent. Faye, I know you had one big knees up at your university, so I bet your social life was absolutely buzzing. So please do share.
I think, yeah, as I mentioned, it was just good to kind of put yourself out there a little bit in uncomfortable situations, because you didn't, I went abroad and didn't know anybody. But that was brilliant because now I know people from Spain, even American students who came and studied in Spain as well. I just met people from all over, and they're still people that I talk to today, have lots of kind of networks. And also just getting to know different people, where they work now, having that kind of employer network going as well. So something like LinkedIn, for example, is really good for just keeping in touch with people, and seeing what they're doing and looking at what job opportunities are available. So yeah, that was kind of my jollies, as you say, Dal, my studying abroad experience.
I feel like that was a very redacted version. I feel like you give us a version that is suitable for an audience before 8 o'clock.
I think in 6 minutes' time, be different. I think this here, though, you've got these big world opportunities when you can take up a DMU Global trip, you can do an overseas placement, you can work for a year. But university isn't just about those big opportunities. It's about some of those smaller day-to-day sort of just being with different people, being more independent, looking after yourself, being academically responsible. And even if you live at home and commute to a local university, as that question that came into the comments was there, you can still make it a really big, exciting, different experience to what it is at school and college. There are much bigger places in schools and colleges. There's far more opportunities, but lots of the experience, the day-to-day, is sometimes just about the small things, about the independence, about the different skills that you're getting, about the new friends that you're making, the networks that you're forming. The big things what you remember, but actually it's the day-to-day developmental skills generation piece that you do actually really, really benefit from. And the small and sort of socials you do when you go for a coffee with friends in between lectures, or perhaps at the end of the day you go for a night out, be it down to a cafe, a club, a bar, whatever it may be. It's those day-to-day social experiences and the friendships you form, because everyone, when I went to uni, I knew nobody within like 150 miles. So the bonds that you form are quite strong because everyone's in that big social experience for the first time together. So lots of those relationships and friendships are different to the ones you formed in school because you're all in that new experience at the same time. So whether you're moving 100 miles away, moving to a different country, or moving down the road, it's still going to be a big social experience and a big social opportunity as well. So definitely don't worry about missing out if you're local. It is what you make it, and as long as you get involved, you'll have a great time regardless.
Yeah, so just to add on to the last bit of that question, for me personally, I got the opportunity to do both. So I moved out for a year, then I also moved back home when I completed my degree. And comparing my personal experience, I don't think it changed that much. So I made a fantastic group of friends at university, so I still could get involved with the social side. So if there was a night out, if there was something that was being organised at my university, I would literally just crash on the sofa at someone's house.
Sofa.
I am the notorious sofa surfer. So I would literally just find somewhere to sleep so I can still get involved in that type of activity or social event or whatever it may be. But I also still had the comforts of being at home. I had to move home because I was very easily distracted. So I knew if I would have carried on being at university, the social side was absolutely emphatic, and it wouldn't have gone well with me achieving my first. Jamie, I had to mention it, sorry, but I don't think I would have achieved it if I did carry on going out at university. Just very quickly before we wrap up, what is freshers and what's the purpose of freshers for students?
Freshers is a lot of things, I think, isn't it? And I think it comes with its own connotations around there being a big party scene. But it, and there are elements of that. And if you want to get involved with that, then absolutely. But as mentioned, you've got your freshers fair and your societies fairs that you can go to, where you can find out more about the groups you can join. There will normally be a stand for DMU Global. There'll normally be a stand for, the opportunity to learn new languages, to join the gym, find out about the sports teams. So freshers is it's a week to 2 weeks of just embedding you into the university. There's all sorts going on. I know, as well as a bar crawl, they also do a coffee crawl. So if you want to find out about all the coffee shops in the city, you can go along to that. I'm sure that's our colleague Henrik, that's his favorite. You can go along to the Harry Potter Studios trips. You can go along to the Alton Towers trips. They normally, put movies on in some of the buildings, so you can go and do like a mini cinema viewing at the university. There's just loads of stuff going on that you can just get involved in, make lots of friends, and it's just a great way of just hanging out with people for your first week at uni.
And you do the practical things as well. You do things like sign up for the library. You might have an induction tour of your faculty building, so you know where to go for different things. You get your student union card. You might even go to like a course induction talk. I remember my tutor put on some kind of like a cheese and wine type do. She went in. It wasn't a very high budget wine. It was a bit like £40. I know exactly. But it was a bit of like a way to meet lots and lots of people. And I think it's really important, even if you don't view the social scene as being a big part of your university experience in your mind's eye, the top tip to Freshers Week is just, again, like everything else, get involved. Lots of those relationships are formed. Lots of people's best mates through uni, they actually meet in some way, shape or form during Freshers Week. My best mate through the whole university experience, I met queuing to get into I think it was into a nightclub somewhere on like the Tuesday of Freshers Week. Just got talking, and next thing you know, you've made your friend for life right there in the freezing cold on a night out. So do just get stuck in, I think, is the top tip to everything about uni. Just like lots of things in life, it is what you make it.
Go to university to meet your future best mate. To be fair, I did meet my husband at university.
There you go. Meet
there you go.
Husband or your money back. Find your lifelong partner, or we'll give you a refund. Yeah.
Right, guys. Anything else you want to add as we are approaching our hour mark? Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think it's just that even if you're only 20% thinking of uni, commit to the research, commit to the process, get yourself involved, get yourself applying. And then when it comes to next spring and summer, if you think, you know what, I really want to go, great, you've got your foot in the door. If you think you don't, then no problem. You can either defer or cancel your place. If you don't go through the process, dismiss it completely, and then in the last minute suddenly wish you had, then you find yourself under pressure having to fast track with everything. So I just suggest that everybody who does an A-level or BTEC or equivalent engages with at least the concept and does some research, and don't dismiss it until you've given it a chance. There's lots of people who who counted out without really giving it a chance to be counted in.
Absolutely. So we're just going to wrap up there, and we just want to say a massive thank you for joining our premiere of DMU Talks. Just to give you a reminder, this episode will be rewatchable on our website, so the links will be posted in the comment section shortly. Ben, that is your cue there. So next week we have another episode. So we have episode 2, and that will be on what is UCAS. So in that episode, what we'll be looking at is UCAS. We'll be looking at the process, and hopefully we'll start to address some of the terminology that you guys will need to familiarize yourself before you start completing your UCAS application. One final note from us, from De Montfort University: if you are starting your research process now, we do have our open day, which is on Saturday, the 19th of September. So it is this Saturday. All you need to do is click on to the web link that we have posted in the chat to register yourself and get a chance and get the opportunity to start having a look at some of the courses we have on offer, and also have a look at our virtual campus. We'll be doing a lot of talks like this on Saturday to give you some more information, and hopefully to try and help guide you in making that decision of what you want to do come when you leave school or college. So again, once again, a massive thank you for joining, and good night from all of us.
Good night.
Bye.